Welcome back to the channel, my brothers, or welcome to the channel if this is your first time. My name's Andy R, and this is the Brotherhood of Men. Today I want to talk to you, my brothers, about the absolute nonsense of body positivity. Because it is nonsense. In fact, it's bull crap. Let's get into the video. So body positivity, we've heard this phrase thrown around, and it was invented by women. In fact, it was invented by a certain type of women, fat chicks. Women who were overweight, and I don't just mean packing on a few extra pounds, I mean really, really obese women. They started to do the same thing women have done years upon decades, throughout centuries. And that is, you've got to accept them no matter what they look like. And if you don't, oh, that's down to you. You're a bad person. You're a bad man that you didn't find this massively overweight woman attractive. Because she's body positive. She's the sort of woman who says to her, hey, I'm happy in my skin. Well, if you're so happy in your skin, why are you trying to thrust that upon us that we have to accept you? Men do not like fat chicks. It's just biology. It's just a simple fact of the matter. Men are attracted to 1, youth, 2, purity, 3, femininity, and 4, an agreeable nature. These are the things that men find attractive. We do not find massively overweight. When I say massively overweight, let's put it in perspective. A 300-pound woman is not attractive to a man. She can have a pretty face, but it's a waste of a pretty face if it's on a body that is just basically unfit. And I don't mean a little bit unfit, I mean a lot unfit. We can look at that woman and say, look, we know as men that if we get with a woman and we settle down and we bond and we decide to make a relationship, whatever that might look like, whether it be married, long term, and then we decide to have children, we know as a fact that that woman's going to put on weight when she has the child. We know more than likely for a fact that she's not going to get all of that weight off after the baby's been born. Some women do. Some women do bounce back after birth. In fact, some women become even fitter after birth because they know they want to lose the weight. They get into a exercise and eating regime that lasts long term, and therefore not only lose that weight but a little bit more and become fitter. But they are the exception to the rule. The rule being that roughly 30 pounds is put on through childbirth. So we're already looking at a woman who is fit, who does fit those other criteria, who we find attractive, and we know that she's probably going to be a little bit heavier after she gives birth. And that's pretty much the same for each birth as well, not just the first but the second and maybe more than 2 children. That she's going to put some weight on and keep it on because that is the norm. That is what we know is going to be. So if a woman is already overweight or massively overweight, and you think to yourself, if she has a child, she's going to become even more overweight. And let's be clear about this, guys. It's a kink if you're attracted to women who are overweight. It's not the norm. It's a kink. A kink means something that is outside of the norm. We have a saying for it here in the UK for men who are attracted to the bigger woman, shall we say, or just fat chicks. We call them chubby chasers. Someone who chases after the chubby girl. Maybe he's got it in his mind that that's all he can get and she's probably going to have lower standards, so he's more than likely going to get with her. Basically all he wants to do is have sex. But he knows that he probably can't get the fitter, more attractive, feminine, purer woman, so he goes after the bigger girl. He's a chubby chaser. It's his kink. But the rest of us men look at that guy that we know who's the chubby chaser, basically saying, thanks mate, thanks for taking one for the team. Because modern women think to themselves, it doesn't matter what weight I am, it doesn't matter how much of a mess I is, it doesn't matter how chaotic my life is, you should accept me for who I am. And I expect to be dating that top percent. It doesn't matter if I'm huge, but I expect to be able to grab that wonderful unicorn man who's a good earner, who's got a great body, is a certain height. All of the boxes are ticked for her. But the thing is that every woman's chasing that guy at the top there. These women are delusional. These fat chicks, 300 plus pound, are not attractive to the majority of men unless he has a kink in that direction. They're just not attractive to us. But if you say that to her, you're accused of body shaming her. You're accused of being fat phobic. Now there's interesting words right there. Body shaming. If you didn't have a shameful body, how could I body shame you? You know that what you're carrying is unhealthy for you. Long term and short term. Short term it's unhealthy for you because you're carrying far too much weight. It's putting pressure on your joints, on your internal organs. It is doing harm to you. Long term, that harm becomes more pronounced. You're more likely to get heart problems. You're more likely to get liver problems. You're more likely to get joint problems. You're more likely to get diabetes. All of these things that are within your bounds of control. You see, women will take the mick out of a guy because he's not very tall. They'll say, oh, if you're under 5'4", you're a child. Well, isn't that a kind of body shaming? Double standard again, you see. Well, actually, I read an article just recently that actually annoyed me more than anything. And the headline went something along the lines of this. Body positivity is for women, not for out-of-shape guys with dad bods. First of all, reading that headline, I thought, well, straight away, that's a little bit sexist. Body positivity, isn't it supposed to be, don't shame somebody because of the body they've got? Yet straight away, you've taken out roughly 50% of the population because you've said, oh, it's only women who can be body positive. Basically written by an overweight woman who's telling you you've got to accept her for being an overweight woman. And the truth of the matter is you don't have to accept anybody. You only have to accept what's right for you. She doesn't get the chance, opportunity, or downright gall to tell you what you should find attractive. So when a woman says, well, how tall are you? Because she wants a tall man. And you turn around and say, well, how heavy are you? All of a sudden, oh, God, open the gates of hell. Listen to the wailing and gnashing of teeth of that woman. What's that got to do with anything? Well, let me tell you, ladies, anyone who watches this, let me tell you. What he's got to do with that is a man can't change his height. Except for an inch or two. He could put high heels on a pair of boots to make himself a little bit taller. But he can't change his height. But you ladies who are massively overweight can change that. But it's hard work. And you're not used to hard work. You don't want to work hard at anything. You don't want to work hard in a job. You certainly don't want to work hard in a relationship. And you don't want to work hard on yourself to improve your chances. And we've got to accept you like that? I don't think so. Then you hear the other one, I deserve love. It doesn't matter what size I am. I deserve love. No, you don't. You don't deserve love. Nobody does. Nobody deserves anything. You don't deserve to take your next breath. Neither do I. I work to it so that I will. I work so that I can stay healthy a long term. You're doing everything in your power to shorten your lifespan. You are going to become a burden on your family if you have one. So if you have children later in life because you're carrying all that weight, and you will suffer from health problems because of that weight you're carrying, you're going to become a burden on your children. If you don't have children, and more women are ending up without children, in fact, a survey showed that by 2030, 50% of women are going to be on their own. And I don't just mean short term, I mean on their own at the end, all the way through. They're never going to settle down, have children, all the rest of it. So even if you've not got children, you're going to be a burden to your parents. If you're not a burden to your parents, you're going to be a burden on the health system. Because of all of the health problems you're going to suffer from you carrying, being selfish and self-centered, so stubborn, so stupid as not to do something about it, you're going to be a problem of the healthcare system, because they're going to have to look after your sorry body. They're going to have to try and put right what you put wrong, that you had in your power to do yourself. So body positivity is an absolute nonsense. It's just another way for women not to take accountability and responsibility for the bad choices they made. Put the fork down, pick up the salad. Stop with the sugary drinks, drink water. Go for a walk, go to the gym, take up swimming, do something to change it around. And all of a sudden, you will find that more men find you attractive, because now you're not massively overweight. Now you're getting the attention you so desperately need, so desperately seek out, because that's something else. Kryptonite to a female Superman is the fact that she doesn't get attention. And fat chicks get a lot less attention than the fit ones. So they have to try and make up some kind of bullcrap to cover up the fact that it's within their power not to look like that. £300 plus is very unattractive. Now let me put that into perspective for those of us who don't live in the United States, where everything's, weighed in pounds. Here in the UK, we use pounds, stones, ounces, all the rest of it, but we tend to talk in stones. So £300 is 21.5 stone. That's far heavier than I am. And I'm quite a big guy. I mean, I'm not particularly out of shape, but I am a big guy. That's a lot more than I weigh. Let me put that for the rest of the world who use kilograms. That's just over 136 kilograms. The average man is between 85 and 95 kilograms. 136, just over 136 kilograms. The average man is around about 16 stone. That's heavier than I am by about a stone. So that's so much more than a man weighs. Do you know, one of the traditions of marriage used to be to carry your bride over the threshold at the new home that you were going to live in. It's still used now, but can you imagine trying to lift, never mind stagger over the threshold, with a £300 woman in your arms? It's unreal. It's unexpected. It's not something that you want in your life. Men do not find fat chicks attractive, for the simple reason that they can see the health problems down the line. They don't want to take on a burden, because that's what it will be, a burden for a man to take on a woman this big. But women have done this for so long, so much that they have decided that, you know what, I don't have to do anything. I've got a coochie, you should be flooding to me, telling me how wonderful you are, falling at my feet and pretending that this is just how normal things go. No, I'm sorry, stop it. You are not attractive to the average man. If you don't believe me about this whole idea that fat, obese, over £300 women do not get the prize, i.e. that top guy, that guy that they all want, because they do all want it. So the fit women, the younger women, the women with less body counts are also after that man. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you saw a wealthy, successful man with a fat chick on his arm? Probably never. They're always with young, fit, attractive women. Because those of you young, fit and attractive women are chasing him. The only time, I will put a caveat on this, the only time you will see a successful, wealthy man with an overweight woman is she grabbed him before he was wealthy and successful. She latched onto him when he had nothing, and he is forever grateful of her support and will probably never leave her because she was there backing him up all the time to be so successful, to be the go-getter. And yes, she may have put the weight on with children, his children. And he accepts that. He accepts her body changed because she had his children. That's the only time you'll see a successful, entrepreneurial, wealthy man with a fatter woman on his arm. But don't you ever say anything to that man about that woman, because he will defend her to the hilt, because she's been there through thick and thin. What you're getting now is obese, fat chicks chasing after men and telling them they're wrong because they don't find them attractive. And then the next time she sees this guy, he's out with some slim, attractive, feminine woman because he can choose that. He's already successful. Why on earth would he put burden on his plate of having to look after you with your overweight health problems that are going to come along if they're not already there now? No. Why should you pick that when you can pick something better? It's like saying, I'll give you loads of money, you can pick whichever car you want. Oh, I'll have that clunky old minivan, please, not the sleek sports car. Most guys are going to pick the sleek sports car, not the chunky fat minivan. So, on that bombshell, and it is a bombshell because this is not going to go well down with the powers that be. I talk about some very uncomfortable subjects on this channel, but I do it for you, my brothers. I do it so that you have the information. I do it so you can make better choices. I do it so you can have armour against the attacks that come your way. And I'm expecting to get attacked for this because I'm talking about women actually having to take responsibility for their actions again. They don't like doing that. It's literally kryptonite. It's like garlic to a vampire, like sunlight to a vampire. They hate having to take responsibility, facing up to consequences of their actions. And let's be honest, you ladies who are massively overweight didn't get overweight overnight. You weren't this weight a few years ago. You weren't this weight as a child, and if you were, that's down to your parents overfeeding you. But, as I say, it's going to get a lot of backlash, this is, because, it's an uncomfortable subject for them. Anything that is making them take responsibility and accountability for their actions is it's an anathema. How dare I? Well, I dare, because my brothers out there need to hear it. If you're that weight, you're not just fat, you're obese, sometimes clinically obese. Meaning that if you don't put the fork down a bit more, you might end your life a lot sooner because of what you're doing to your body. Something that is completely within your control, but you're so chaotic, so drama-driven, so erratic, so hard-headed, that you won't even do that to make yourself more appealing to a man. But instead of taking responsibility for those choices, you now try and shame men into dating you by telling them, if you don't, you must be fat phobic. Well, let's look at that word for a second, shall we? A phobia is an irrational fear. It's a fear of something that can't harm you, therefore is irrational. Fear of buttons, of feathers. In the UK, a fear of spiders. We don't have spiders that are going to kill us. It's an irrational fear. This is why you do not have phobias for things like lions and tigers and crocodiles and things that actually could happen, things that could kill you, things that really are a danger in the wild. If you went swimming in the sea and you saw a shark fin, you're not sharkophobic. You're sensible. You get out of that. You're in his house. If he comes and gives you a bit of a nibble, don't be surprised. You're in his house. We don't live in the sea. The shark does. If I move 100 miles from the coast, I'm not expecting to get a shark attack. Number one, by the time it's managed to get a taxi and get to my house, the smell of fish will tip me off and I can get out of its way. It's not an irrational fear if it's something that can actually harm you. And fat phobia, you're saying I have an irrational fear of your fatness? That's ridiculous. I have no irrational fear of you being massively overweight. I just avoid you. I don't want to be with you. But you can't handle that. You think to yourself that you deserve my attention. And every other man out there. Not going to happen. So instead of taking responsibility and doing something about the fact that you are unappealing to most men, you decide to attack men for their preferences. Yet you say that you want men who are 6 foot tall and do this and have this income and all the rest of it. You say their preferences. We don't say that you're money phobic if you won't date a poor man. And then, of course, the flip side of the coin is, as soon as a bloke jumps on the bandwagon and say, hey, you can't body shame me, you must be fat phobic because I'm overweight. Oh no, he's not allowed that little bit of largesse from you. Oh no, it's only for women, just like the article said. No, I'm sorry. We're not going to put up with it anymore. It's a nonsense. Absolute nonsense. It's bullcrap. When I talk about it being called fat phobia, as though it's an irrational fear of your fatness, it's not none of these things are phobias. We don't have irrational fears of any of these things. My brothers out there do not have those irrational fears. No, what we have, and what you've mistaken, is tolerance. See, say somebody's a celiac, meaning that they can't have gluten in their diet. It's not because they have a phobia of gluten. They have an intolerance of gluten. In other words, if they eat it too much, they're going to swell up, they're going to feel uncomfortable. It might even, if it's a really severe case, might even threaten their life. Same thing with nut allergies or any other allergies, seafood or anything. It's not a phobia of those foodstuffs, it's an intolerance to it. So instead of calling us fat phobic, let's just say we're fat intolerant. And the more you try to ram down our throat that we have to accept you for this and date you, the more intolerant we're going to become to your cause. Because we don't care if you're overweight. We don't want anything to do with you. You carry on. You keep shoveling your face. You keep putting on those pounds. You keep crying to your girlfriends and saying, why don't men want me? Is it because I'm overweight? And listen to your friends' advice when they go, no, that's not it. You're a queen. You're gorgeous. Any man would be happy to be with you. And the reason they're saying that to you ladies is because if you did lose weight, if you did become more attractive to a man, you're now a threat to her hunting for a man. So it's better to keep you chubby. Also, it's good to have you around because she looks better next to you, even if she's overweight herself, but you're massively overweight. In comparison, she looks like the fit one. So she has no vested interest in you getting fit. In fact, her vested interest is to be a feeder and carry on shoveling it down. You have another piece of cake. You're fine how you are. She's self-harming you. You see, she's being nice to you. Where men aren't nice to each other, we're kind. Kindness is different to niceness. Niceness will tell you lies. Kindness will tell you the blunt truth. To be kind to you. You've never heard the phrase, cruel to be kind? Men do this to men. If their friend is massively overweight, you say, what's going on with you, Bob? You're a blob. Come on, do something about it. You can barely walk upstairs without wheezing like a broken toy. Come on, man, you're better than this. And then we'll call him Fat Bob. after that, until Fat Bob gets off his backside and starts going to the gym. And that's when his friends, that's when his brothers, that's when the other men encourage him. They see him puffing and wheezing down the street as he's trying to go for a jog, which is more or less a strong walk right at the beginning, and they laugh at him, but at the same time they go, "Don't you give up, Bob. You keep going, Bob. Hey, Bob, Fat Bob. We can't call you Fat Bob anymore if you start losing weight." We take the mick out of each other mercilessly because we're being kind. Women don't take the mick out of, they don't fat shame them. You can't be fat shamed if you're not fat and you've got a shameful body. If you're fit and you're healthy looking, nobody's going to call you Fat Mary because you're not fat. And if they do, it's ironic, like calling somebody with straight hair curly. It'd be ironic and you'd take it that way. It'd be a joke. But if they do it to your face, when you are fat, all it's going to do is drive you back to the cakes. Pick that face, that fork up and start shoveling it all in again. The only exercise you're getting is the arm muscle with the fork in it and the jaw muscles to chew the food. You need to change those ways. You are the only one who can. But whilst you're changing your ways, stop telling men that their intolerance of you is because you are so beautiful. You're not. There are no beautiful 300-pound women. There are pretty-faced 300-pound women, but that's as far as it goes. And we men know this little trick as well on the dating apps, where the photos here, just of the shoulders and the face, because you daren't get your body in the picture. Well, who's body shaming you now? You were holding the camera, you took the picture. Why didn't you take it from a distance so they could see all of you? Because you know you shouldn't look like that. You know that's unattractive to a man. You know that you're not going to get a date with any normal guy unless he's a chubby chaser if you showed a full body picture of yourself. So you take one up like this so that you don't see the chins, looking up, looking all like this to the camera, but no lower than the shoulders. We know this. We know what it is. And still you want the attention. Still that's your lifeblood. Attention of a man. Do something about your weight and nobody would ever be able to body shame you. Do something about your weight and you could never accuse anybody of being fat phobic. When in actual fact it's not a phobia, it's a preference. It's not a phobia, it's an intolerance. Most men do not find fat chicks attractive, and they don't chase them. And that's the thing you can't get through your chubby brain, is the fact that they're not chasing you. But you don't want to have to do anything to change so that they will find you attractive. You are going to just start using the sign language on men. Sign language, S-I-G-N. Shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. You need to believe that you are this goddess, this beauty that all men should find attractive, when in your heart of hearts you know you're not. But rather than do something about it, you want to shame men for your downfall. And this has been going on long enough. We see it too many times, we men do. Women do not want to change to attract a man. They keep saying, I deserve. You deserve nothing. You don't deserve love. You don't deserve health. You don't deserve anything that you do not earn. And men know this. Men know that it takes effort. It takes time. It takes commitment to do anything. To succeed in business, to have a good body, to be healthy. All of these things take time and effort to achieve. And yet you expect men to do it, but do none of that yourself and then still expect men to fall at your feet. We're not having it. No, we're just not having it. We men are starting to get very intolerant. No phobias here. Intolerance. Just like that food intolerance. It's not a phobia of food, it's an intolerance to a type of food. It's not a phobia of your fatness, it's an intolerance to it that we're not going to entertain. Anyway, you my brothers, Do you agree with me? Please, leave it down in the comments below. Are you a chubby chaser? Leave it down in the comments below. Tell me, are you fed up of women telling you what you should find attractive instead of asking you what you should find attractive and trying to fulfill that? Tell me in the comments below. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell notification. That way you don't miss out on future content. And this channel is growing. I've just reached that 1,000 subscribers. I couldn't be happier. Thank you for your support. It means the world to me. It means that this message is getting out to more and more people. And if you know somebody who takes something away from this video, share it with them. Share it on your social media. Let's share it wide. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea because, well, I think I've earned one. You, my brothers out there, you take care of yourself, because if you don't, you might be shamed into getting a chubby. No, if you don't, who will? And I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.